Imagine this, you're level 2, feeling brave with hopes and dreams twinkling in your eyes. Then the dungeon says, "Hold my beer." Tonight, we're spotlighting the little terrors built to end your story while you're still arguing about what to name your sword. This isn't about the big guys. Sure, Inferno can throw something that feels like a level 13 spell, and a Lich can erase a small army before brunch, but the real danger at low levels, the ankle biters, the Zerg rush, the annoying kobolds who unionized with your nightmares. Tonight we'll show you how they kill, how to not make their job easier, and the tiny choices that keep you breathing. By the end, you'll know which chests not to hug, which lights not to follow, and why 10 feet of rope is worth more than a +1 shield. Now let's go ruin a monster's day before it ruins yours. Quick shoutouts before we plunge in. The Mimic, a treasure chest that's basically contact cement with teeth. Poke suspicious loot with a pole, use mage hand, and fight from the side, not the doorway it's gluing shut. Swarm of poisonous snakes, which is not a snake, it's the floor. Answer with fire, thunderwave, and mobility. And then the ultimate noob killer, the terrain itself. Cliffs, water, darkness, and all those devious choke points. Because the map is a monster, so bring light, rope, and plenty of lockpicks. Also, get good at exercising the ancient art of go around the lava. We step into a crypt and the stone smells like a strip club. The room won't shut up. At first you think it's water in the walls, then you hear words you don't know and voices that don't fit any throats. The gibbering mouther rolls in like a meat wad, and the ground around it goes doughy under your boots. Your paladin takes a step, and the floor says, "Lol, no." Your rogue tries to aim and their brain blue screens. Someone swings at a friend because the babble told them to. Then the thing hocks a glob of burning spit that blinds your ranger right when you needed that shot. You don't duel a mouther, you mute it and kite it. Don't casually hang out inside the 20-foot babble zone, throw a silence bubble over it like a lid, plug ears with wax if your DM is kind, climb onto tables or rocks to escape the dough floor, and burn it from range with every cantrip and javelin you own. If you must go melee, shove it out of its comfy puddle or pin it with web. Just don't let the party stand in a circle and audition for the hit sitcom Friendly Fire. You escape the crypt and find yourself stumbling out into fog that tastes like copper. A friendly light bobs ahead, as if saying, "Come this way." You do, because of course you do. It blinks out, then shocks the shit out of you. Welcome to the Will-O-Wisp. AC 19, resistances for days, invisibility on tap, and the gross habit of slurping a downed ally with consume life. The fix is boring but effective. Make it visible with fairy fire or see invisibility, or even a thrown pouch of chalk. Then focus magic damage and avoid chasing it into deep water. You want the wisp to come to you. Sunlight at last. You relax. That's when your shadow relaxes too, right off your boots. The shadow peels up like a sticker and wraps your ankles while your sword slides through it like bad dreams. Every hit siphons your strength until your muscles feel like wet laundry. Drop one party member and it doesn't vanish. It stands up as a second enemy because shadows make more of themselves like a pyramid scheme in the early 2000s. Fight in bright light, carry extra torches and cast the light cantrip like you're sponsored by IKEA. Radiant damage and magic weapons actually matter. Protection from evil on the front line is clutch. And if they sap your strength, congratulations, you're an archer now. Now that that's taken care of. A wet, oddly domestic sound echoes like someone set a sponge down too hard, and a dog-shaped silhouette slinks into view. Just kidding, it's a brain with legs. The Intellect Devourer is not here to trade hits, it is here to delete your wizard. Devour intellect shreds intelligence, and if a player face plants with 0 brain power, Body Thief turns your friend into an Uber with legs. Counter it by treating doors and corners like boss rooms. Familiars and summoned critters go first. Protection from evil and good goes on your squishies before the crawl. Hold ranged actions to Alpha Strike when it pops, and let the heavy armored genius, the fighter, open things while the low-int hero stays behind the grown-ups. The trail leads to a ruined chapel that smells like old meat. The thing that climbs the pews used to be a person. Now it's knives and hunger. The ghoul doesn't have to be clever. It just has to touch you with claws that cause paralysis on a bad con save. If you do find yourself paralyzed, remember that auto-crits stack pretty quickly. Beat them by being shameless with Turn Undead, that's what it's for. By making terrain bad with caltrops, grease, or spike growth so the pack can't swarm. By using Radiant and AoE instead of dueling a pile of corpses, and by remembering that elves up front are basically cheat codes thanks to paralysis immunity. Deeper in the chapel you find a cave exhales warm dust. Your ranger lifts a torch and stops mid-word. Not because of fear, because of her new skin tone. The basilisk lumbers out, 8 stubby legs, drool hissing where it hits the floor. Someone yells, "Don't look!" and then looks because impulse control is a high-level feat. Petrifying gaze is a 2-save problem with a statue twist. It takes your tank, their gear, and your morale. You live by averting eyes, fighting around corners and through cover, forcing it to catch its own reflection with a mirror or polished shield, and by having lesser restoration on deck so the statue in your party becomes a person again. Once everyone's back to normal, you sense salt air, black rocks, and hear someone crying. A woman sits in a tide pool, hair like wet silk, face turned just so. Then she shows you her full self and all the colour sprints out of the world. The Sea Hag is a 2-step, horrific appearance to frighten, death glare to set you to 0 if you're already under it. The answer is to fight like a camera-shy goblin. Refuse eye contact and ready ranged attacks from behind cover. Juice wisdom saves with bless and guidance. Drown the scene in bright light to make hiding harder. And tag team line of sight. You back away without turning your back. Instincts do you a favor for once. The cavern roof ahead looks like a forest of stone teeth. One of the teeth blinks, then drops. Darkness blooms like spilled ink. The Dark Mantle loves a cheap combo. Magical darkness plus grapple plus crush. Around a head it can wear like a hat. You can't see, can't breathe, and your dagger finds ribs. Yours because you skipped over blindside. Live by tapping ceilings with poles before you walk under them. Keep 10 feet between bodies so one surprise doesn't become a dog pile. Ready ranged attacks at the first thump. And slam light or daylight as if the sun owes you money. If it latches onto someone's face, shove, help, or thunderwave it off. Just avoid turning the rescue into a firing squad. Outside, noon sun paints the ruins, and the air gets colder than a passing cloud. You find a corpse in a side passage, freshish armor, coin purse still attached. Your rogue leans in because rent is due, and the body twitches in that way bodies shouldn't. Then the skin stirs like a sack of rice, and a handful of pale worms pop like angry noodles and bite. In seconds, they're burrowing for the warm, important parts, and you have maybe a couple of rounds before this turns from gross into an obituary. So, what do? The correct response is burn the bite area immediately, even if it singes you. A torch, produce flame, create bonfire, burning hands, even the old oil plus flint combo. Any burst of fire that hits the grubs now beats a heal spell you cast later. Healing doesn't evict them, it just gives you more time to panic. Scrape and stomp if you must, but fire is the eviction notice they actually respect. Night creeps in while you camp by the road. The tall grass morphs into 2 shapes at once, and the bugbear proves it's the varsity goblinoid by opening with surprise attack. Bonus dice on round 1 that deletes your sorcerer mid-snore. Reach keeps it safe while it deletes your backline. Survive with actual scouting. An alarm spell that plays Rick Astley on max volume. Sleepers spaced apart and undercover. Rangers on patrol with lines of fire already picked. If the ambush lands, dodging round 1 beats dying. Match reach with glaives, spears, or fight from hard cover and force them to come to you. Here's the pattern if you're keeping score. These monsters punish clumping, eye contact, and bad lighting. Low-level play isn't a DPS race, it's a knowledge check. The way you turn a wipe into a war story is by packing the boring stuff and making the smart choices. Light like you mean it. Torches, spells, flint, even mirrors. Spacing as armor. Saves over raw health, casting buffs like Bless, Aid, and Heroism. Fight the mechanic, not the monster. Don't stare at gaze, don't blob for whales, don't chase mysterious lights into swamps, and always have a retreat plan. The truth is, these monsters aren't mini-bosses. They're teachers with bad vibes. They train you to treat darkness like a blade, distance like armor, and knowledge like treasure. If you can survive the scream that sets you to zero, the light that wants you dead, the gaze that turns your tank into art, and the hug that blinds, you're not just tougher, you're smarter. And remember, watch your footing, adventurer.